Alright, welcome to a brand new series I'm doing called Lost Toons, where I talk about cartoons that have essentially been lost to media. Now this might be similar to my short-lived, because some of these might be really short-lived. Others might be very good cartoons that just have sort of disappeared as time has gone on. There might not be a physical media release for it. No DVDs, no Blu-rays, no VHS even. Which is not the case with our first episode, which is of the 1991 animated TV show Swamp Thing. Which is an animated version of the DC Comics property and follows, the basic story plot points, while changing some things up. It was produced by Deke and aired on Fox Kids back in 1991. And I'll be straight up with you. I've heard of this before this, but I had not seen an episode of this. I've heard of this mainly because of the theme song. Because when I did that short-lived review for the 2019 Swamp Thing series. So I was on a high. So I tried to get some sort of ringtone or something to go with it. And what I found was the theme song to this show. Started looking it up. And I saw an animated show. And then last morning I should say. Well, last night I found this channel on YouTube that has lineups of Fox Kids cartoons for certain years. One of them was from 1992. And I was watching that this morning, and I happened to come across an episode of Swamp Thing. And I was making my breakfast when this came on, and I was dancing to that theme song, man. Swamp Thing, dun, 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 dun. You are amazing, dun, 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 dun. You fight everything nasty. Swamp Thing. This was actually airing concurrently with a live-action series that was airing on the Sci-Fi Channel. But this show, only lasted 5 episodes. That's it. Then it was canned, and we never saw it again. And watching it now, I watched all 5 episodes. They're on YouTube to watch. Go ahead and watch them. The episodes were released on DVD, which is out of print, which is why I consider this lost, because you can get the DVD, but it's expensive to get. You want to spend a big chunk of change to get it, go ahead, but not me. I watched all 5 episodes on YouTube. So, what do I think of these? Well, let me explain. The story goes that Dr. Alec Holland was trying to create, at least in this version, a way to stop world hunger when he was interrupted by Anton Arcane, who destroyed his lab and created the Swamp Thing, turned him into the Swamp Thing. Whereas in the 2019 version, it was the swamp itself. Swamp Thing has 2 allies, Tomahawk, a Native American, and Bayou Jack, a Vietnam vet, to help fight off Dr. Arcane, Anton Arcane, and his unmen, as he calls them, his mutated thugs, Dr. Demo, Skin Man, and Weed Killer. Those are names. And by me just talking about it, you'd see that this is your normal 80s, 90s superhero animated show in the vein of Extreme Dinosaurs or Street Sharks or something like that. Creepy Crawlers even. And yes. And then here are some of the changes. Abby Arcane is now Anton Arcane's stepdaughter, and she's a kid. And she's not used much. And I think that's a good thing, because in the comics, Abby ended up being Swamp Thing's wife. So, yeah, they did, they'd have kids because it's a kid's show. And there's 2 other kids Delbert, who has the most annoying voice I've ever heard. Hey, hi, Swampy. It's annoying. And JT, who's their human allies, so to speak. They're only in a couple episodes, though, so, you know. And so is Abby, to be honest. She's not a main character. The main characters are Swamp Thing, Tomahawk, and Bayou Jack as they take on the others. And there's plots. One episode has Dr. Arcane going after the Fountain of Youth. Another one, the last episode, has them going after... there's this other female scientist who may have a way for Alec to become human again. But of course, the lab is destroyed. But he almost became human. And... yeah. These episodes are pretty good, but they do suffer from a common thing that superhero shows have to do. We have this superhero who, on his own, could be very overpowered. So we have to give him a weakness. So, his weakness is that if he's out of the water for too long, he starts to dry up and needs to go into water. Episode 5 really doubles down on this and gets it even more confusing when it has to be clean water. You're from a swamp. Why do you need clean water? Swamp's not clean water. It's a swamp. But the swamp can help him, but it's not... See, I don't understand that at all. He's from a swamp, and yet he needs clean water to sustain himself. Then how can he exist in a swamp? Swamp is dirty water. Yes, I've noticed there's a trend in this, that something happens where he gets dried up and he needs more water. I feel like that wasn't really necessary. I mean, it's a cartoon. You don't need to be that grounded. If this was live action, yeah, by all means, you could put that in there. You'll need it. This is a cartoon. Cartoons don't need to be realistic, so you don't need to give him a weakness. Let him be overpowered. It's a cartoon, for God's sake. You know? But I do think it's pretty good, well written. I think they're pretty good animation. It's DiC after all, and they were the animation kings of my childhood. So I think overall it's a pretty good series. There were some action figures released by Kenner Toys, and they outstayed the show because the show lasted 5 episodes and the toys are in circulation for a few years. So, yeah. I really think you should try to seek these out. Like I said, they're on YouTube. They're for free. Just search them up, Swamp Thing 1991 or Swamp Thing cartoon, full episodes, whatever. You'll find them on there. I think it's a good watch. It won't take long. It's only 5 episodes. So if you looking at it from an adult, there are these problems that I pointed out. But if I was a kid and I saw this back in 1991 or in reruns, even 1995-ish, I think I would be into this. Like I said, it reminds me of something like Street Sharks or Creepy Crawlers or Attack of the Killer Tomatoes or something like that. And in that vein, those shows that DiC was releasing, which they did release Street Sharks and Extreme Dinosaurs and Creepy Crawlers, I think. So, yeah. So it's really one of those shows in the vein of those. And I think it's fine. So there it is. For my inaugural episode of Lost Toons. So yeah, I got a couple of these lined up, but I'm just going off on top of my head. The next episode will take a look at a lovable purple cat that no one ever seems to talk about. It also aired on Fox Kids. And if you know what I'm talking about, then you are one of those rare, Fox Kids watchers who saw this show and know it's criminally underrated and criminally has no DVD release. And that'll be my next episode. I'm not saying what it is, but I will leave you with this. Let me know in the comments below what you think about the Swamp Thing animated series. Thanks for watching. I've been Scotty. Kumbaya.